I recently received an email from somebody who is a UX designer for a really quite well-known e-commerce fashion brand. And he approached me interested in mentorship because despite his best efforts, his organization was failing to embrace user experience best practice. As we discussed this situation over Zoom, it became apparent that some of his challenges were being caused by the way that he talked about user experience internally. You see, wherever you work, we all have stakeholders that we need to win over, and the language we use to communicate with them will have a significant impact on whether we succeed or fail. Let me share with you some examples to give you a sense of how big a difference the language we use can have on how people perceive our work. For example, have you ever talked about a discovery phase? Chances are you have. I use the term all the time, but I do tend to avoid it when I'm talking to my clients or stakeholders, and that's because a discovery phase can lead to some negative lines of thought if you're not careful. Think about it. Discovery implies working out what's required. However, most stakeholders feel pretty confident that they know what they want to do and they don't want to waste time and money going over it. Now, they might not be right, but that's what they think. However, if you reframe a discovery phase as a review and recommendations phase, then suddenly it changes the context. It acknowledges that the stakeholder has already done a lot of work and suggests building upon that with a new set of recommendations. It just sounds more positive and forward-looking. My second example is why you should probably avoid using the word designer. I'm a UX designer, but you probably won't hear me actually call myself that. I tend to refer to myself as a consultant, and that's because a designer is perceived as a pixel pusher. They make pretty pictures. At least that's the mental image that most stakeholders have. Sure, you and I know that's not true, so yes, I could fight the good fight and try to educate clients, but it's actually easier just to use language that stakeholders understand. People see consultants as providing leadership, insight, and vision. They expect a consultant to advise and provide guidance. Designers, they see as somebody who is going to implement other people's ideas and make them look prettier. Suppose that you have the word designer in your job title, then no problem. Just start using terms like design consultancy or digital design strategy. By linking the term design to standard business terms that imply leadership or vision, you start to shift thinking. Another word that I tend to avoid a lot is committee. Nobody likes a committee. Committees imply bureaucracy and endless meetings. When somebody goes to a committee, they see their role as to express an opinion and critique the work of others, not actually contribute through action. So instead, I'm leaning these days towards the term workshopping groups. I did use working groups, but the term has become synonymous with committees, and so it has the same kind of impact and thoughts within people's minds. A workshopping group, on the other hand, is a group that gathers together to workshop ideas. It's about prototyping and workshopping exercises, not discussion and debate. It's about producing something tangible. Using the word workshop in the title makes it clear what people can expect to be doing if they're a part of a workshopping group. Now, my final example is web services. Many digital teams have the word services in their title, but services implies a support role, that the team exists to implement the ideas of others. If you want more of a leadership role, you need to dump the word services entirely. Either adopt something neutral like UX team, or even better, go for something like a digital transformation team, as this implies innovation, leadership, and change. Innovation is actually an excellent word to use because every company likes to think it innovates. And there are lots of words that tend to get good traction in organizations. Talk about things like proof of concept projects as an excuse to break the rules, or managing risk as a way to justify testing. You could talk about speed to market to encourage the adoption of agile working and increasing customer lifetime value to justify emphasizing improvements to the user experience. Now, I'm aware all of this comes across as a lot of BS, but it isn't in reality. You see, as user experience professionals, we're always moaning about how websites should produce content that adopts the same tone and language that most resonates with the audience that we're trying to reach. Well, this is precisely the same. If we want to reach our stakeholders, we need to start using their language.